may only be presented to the Senate by a senator who shall affix his or her name at the beginning thereof. The petition is in my name against the President of the Nigerian Senate, His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio, for sexual harassment, abuse of office, and malicious obstruction of my legislative functions. You may recall, sir, that on Friday in Arise TV, I did make some statements. And I have decided to narrow these statements in a formal petition against the President of this Senate. So if it may please you, I would humbly step forward and lay this petition. Thank you.
You may proceed. Distinguished colleagues, this petition is hereby referred to the Committee on Code of Conduct, Ethics, and Public Petitions to revert to the Senate as soon as practicable.
Petition.
Any other petition? Yes.
So that was Senator Natasha Akpoti from Kogi State, who has now officially presented an allegation to the Senate of sexual assault. And it doesn't surprise me. I think the Senate president has conducted himself in a way that it's a little bit questionable. I mean, we are not new to his condescending attitude and his disrespectful attitude towards women. I'm sure we all remember this.
We don't want the bill killed, but it should be slight modifications, sir. It's a necessary bill.
Distinguished Senator Natasha, in the chamber, you have to be recognized before you speak.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah, we are not in a nightclub.
So some couple of years back, I believe Senator Akpabio made this same condescending statement, which arises basically from a situation where Senator Natasha was trying to say she is not saying the bill should be killed. She simply asked for some kind of rework with the bill. And obviously she was wrong by addressing the Senate when she hasn't been recognized to address the Senate. But I also think the Senate's president's commentary, Senator Akpabio, is also a very unprofessional and a very, very disrespectful statement. The lady made a mistake, which you corrected her rightly by saying she's not supposed to address the Senate if she hasn't been recognized to speak. She apologized, and you went further to say this is not a nightclub. I mean, how does this kind of commentary even come to your head as the Senate president of a country? Okay, so that happened some couple of years back. I think maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. But now let's fast forward to what happened sometimes last week.
Senate, your point of order is sustained.
Order, please.
Dismissed Senator Natasha, please, you are not recognized to speak from there. That is the order of the Senate.
Sir, order 10 on privileges. Order 10 on privileges.
Distinguished Senator Natasha.
Any senator may rise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he shall be prepared to move without notice. A motion declaring that the content of breach of privilege has been
that allows suspension immediately.
Or refer.
I choose to remain
Duka sama dukansu suna da waya fa.
So this seems to be the genesis of all the drama. So basically, my understanding is that Senator Natasha was moved from one seat to another seat, of which she did not like and she did not appreciate. And she was trying to raise that objection. And the Senate president was saying, you cannot address the Senate from that seat. Which intuitively will make sense for a lot of people. But look at it this way. If you hear when Senator Natasha started speaking, she started with quoting the law she's standing on, which is what they refer to as, I think, Law 10 or Rule 10 of the rules that guides the Senate. And basically that rule simply said any member can stand up at any point in time, underline that, any point in time, to present an objection if they feel their privileges have been violated. So why then is the Senate not willing to let the Senator Natasha address her objection from where she was seated? And just hear what Senator Akpabio himself said about that Rule 10.
Privilege coming under, because any senator can rise at any point in time under Order 10,
yes,
where the senator feels that his privilege is breached.
in all cases not provided for in this standing order. In all cases not provided for in this standing order, or by seasonal or other orders or practice.
Order 10 says any senator may rise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and shall be prepared to move a motion without notice.
So that was a statement Senator Akpabio himself made about that Rule 10. That was the same rule Senator Natasha was standing on that should have allowed her to present the objection to her privileges that are being taken away in her own opinion. But somehow the Senate president was not interested in listening to that objection, even when he himself says, as a senator, you have this privilege of expressing that objection if you feel your privilege have been violated under Rule 10. So why then was she not allowed to express this objection? So all of that happened on Friday, and I believe from there, Senator Natasha proceeded to Arise TV to kind of tell her own side of the story that the public might not be aware of yet?
Many people do not know what I'm about to say, but I'm going to speak my own truth. And the Senate President is allowed to counter that. It all started on the 8th of December, 2023, which was a day before his birthday and my birthday. We are birthday mates. We were all in Akwa Ibom because he had a big fanfare in the stadium. Myself, my husband, and a few of his close friends, we went to Akwa Ibom. And at first, we were at Ikot Ekpene. We were in his house in Ikot Ekpene. Then we all moved to his house in Uyo, which was about 8 p.m. And he held my hand and said he wanted to show me around his house. My husband was walking behind us, just 3 of us. We're walking around from room to room. He showed me the beautiful interior. This was done by this, by that, this designer here, he bought this from us. I was like, oh, it's beautiful. And then I noticed that he hastened his pace while still holding my hand. And my husband was behind, still on his phone, but he was catching up whenever he could. And then he got to this particular sitting room, and he said, do you like my house? I said, of course, sir. Every room, beautiful, nice interior, quality taste. He said, now that you're a senator, I'm going to create a time for us to come spend quality moments here. You will enjoy it. At that point, I just pulled away and I was like, I don't really understand what exactly that meant. But then my husband now, when I turned around, I saw my husband was already near me. And the way my husband looked at me and looked at him, I was beginning to wonder, did he hear part of that inciting statements or not? And then the Senate President too, I saw that he also had that thought, like, did my husband hear the invitation to treat or not? So then the Senate President now said, oh, by the way, let me show you my chapel. He has a chapel in his house as well. So while we were going to the chapel, we walked in silence and all. So that evening, before we left the Senate President's house at about 11 midnight to the 4 Points in Ikot Ekpene. And my husband asked me, Natasha, what did the Senate President whisper to you? What's he telling you?
So that was Senator Natasha's allegation on Arise TV. Basically, the Senate President allegedly propositioned some kind of engagement with her that will involve both of them spending time together in that particular structure or building or apartment or whatever that structure was. And in my own opinion, this is a very gray area for me. I'm someone who is usually very, very sensitive when it comes to sexual assault on women. But this seems to be a very gray area in the sense that has it really risen to the level of sexual assault by a man just simply propositioning something to you, something of a sexual nature? It's still inappropriate because they are colleagues. It's inappropriate because the woman is a married woman. So it's inappropriate in every shape or form that you take a look at it. But the gray area and the reason why I am still skeptical is, can we say these on the spectrum of sexual abuse? For me, I think this is somewhere in the middle. If we're looking at sexual abuse in terms of a spectrum, it's not on the far end of a sexual abuse where we are talking about physical inappropriate touches of sexual nature. But in this case, it was just a proposition of something. So I'm struggling to see if this rises to the level of what we'll call sexual assault. And I hope she has evidence for this, because if she doesn't have evidence, I think it will only trivialize the issue of sexual assault for a lot of women, because the whole society is going to say, oh, you women just make these accusations and you don't prove nothing and you don't provide evidence for anything. So I hope, in the best interest of the future women that are going to be sexually abused, I hope there are evidence to prove this, other than just something the Senate President said some couple of years ago. But I think there is a bigger problem. The bigger problem in the sense that we have a pandemic of sexual assault in this part of the world, where we have normalized sexual assault, we have normalized sexual abuse, we have normalized even things like rape. I mean, don't forget, this is still a country where, as a woman, you do not have a legal right not to be raped by your husband. This is still the kind of banana republic we live in, where as a human being, we think because you are married to somebody, so your right to give consent has been taken away from you. So generally, we live in a country where things like this are trivialized, and unfortunately, women in a lot of cases are women's own worst enemy, because the people who normalizes this behavior the most, and the people who trivializes it the most, the people who say this is no big deal, is not just men, it's also women, especially the older women. And this is a typical example of that.
I'm not with Akpoti. You understand? Number one, it is the worst sign of weakness on a woman's part. You understand? For you to come out and accuse a man or accuse a man of making passes at you at that level.
So this is an elderly woman. I believe this is former Senator Itagiwa. I believe that is her name. And I think women with this kind of mindset is exactly the reason why a lot of women will continue to be victims of sexual assault. Is an indoctrination a lot of this older generation of women get from a very young age, which is no matter what, never be confrontational with a man. Even if a man offends you, if a man violates you, if a man disrespects you, you should still bow your head and quietly just tell him to consider the possibility that he might have violated you. This is the way a lot of this older generation of women were indoctrinated to handle this kind of situations. And it's very sad, because it's this kind of mindset that is going to encourage the younger generation of men to think it's okay for them to sexually assault women, because the older generation of women have said it's no big deal.
I want to come in here because we need to set a lot of context. I get what you're saying, as regards how the Senate runs, but the difference is the fact that she was standing on privileges with that Order 10 because of what she wanted to say. And she has also made very strong allegations that is because of the sexual advances made and she has not succumbed. That's why she's being treated that way in the Senate. So are you saying, you said something just now that I was taken aback, ma. You said it is, you feel disappointed that Natasha came out to air a point of. So is it that when a woman is sexually harassed, as she claims, she should keep quiet? Misogyny should continue?
No, I don't.
That women should not speak up? Nobody should talk? Because she has won election, she's in the Senate now?
You have passed that. You have,
upon.
by the time you contest election and get to Senate, you understand? You have passed that. You know, you have passed that stage of your life of being sexually harassed.
Really?
So yes, by the time if you go there and start, you have passed that. If you go there, so you are all equal in that Senate.
So, really? So
yes,
if somebody
you are all equal,
as
it's
president
out of order.
the
And again,
Senate
it shows
sexually
weakness.
harasses
You don't
you.
allow it.
So is it a show of weakness for a woman to speak out?
It cannot happen in the Senate.
Really?
I'm not saying that the lady is lying.
So it's a
I'm
show
not
of weakness for her
God.
to
But
speak
again,
out?
my dear, when you get to Senate, you are there as a person. You are not there as a man or woman. You are there as a person. It doesn't matter what you are carrying between
But she's
whatever.
complaining
you
that there's no
You are
equality.
there. And then, mind
That's
you,
what she's complaining about.
I don't think at this stage of, I respect that girl. I like her. She's very intelligent, very, very well spoken. You understand? But I do not think. You understand? I'm not doubting what she's saying, but
What
I'm
is
saying
happening?
that.
It is very
you understand?
clear.
No. I'm not that, but I'm saying that it would not happen in the Senate.
In the Senate, it should.
You
But
understand?
let me.
And it should not happen in the Senate. I'm a great fan of that lady, but I'm not a fan of any lady. Any lady. It's like you waking up tomorrow to say that Mr. Abasi is harassing you, so you cannot present.
Since she mentioned to me.
Yes.
So, ma'am, as a lady, as a woman, since you referred to me, there's
Yes.
no level at which we do not experience sexual harassment. You can choose to keep quiet about it, but I think it's...
You're not keeping quiet, it's allowing it.
I know. I do think it's disrespectful to women who have the courage to come out to speak, to say that they were not sexually harassed because they reached a certain level.
Not at that
I'm just
level.
speaking from my perspective.
Not in the Senate, not in the
I think
Senate
that is
chamber.
Senator Jagger, let me play something.
Not
for you and ask
there.
you.
What favor are you asking for? You all want election to be there.
Okay.
In my 32 years, I've never been made passat.
Okay, great. Okay, so ma'am,
You understand? In my 32
as we
years.
round off now,
Because it's not
what
allowed.
you're saying is quite a
Do not
revelation.
allow it. And people joke a lot. In politics, there's a lot of people joke a lot.
Yes,
people
ma'am.
hold each other's hand. People can say that,
So
okay,
it's a
do you
joke.
have nicknames that we call each other?
Okay. All right, let me just ask you a question
take
for the
it.
girls that are watching and the women that are watching. You said that there's a way...
Women should protect themselves. You understand? Women should carry themselves. You don't allow it.
You said that there's a way...
You can send a message that don't come here.
Yes, I want you to talk to the
women.
You said that there's a way, so we don't know the way because we are still sexually harassed.
Yes.
So since you know the way that it is, that so that you avoid it, can you share with the women who are watching with us, who are at that level, who are still being intimidated, what to do?
I feel for the young girls in the universities and who are growing up. But what I'm saying today is that by the time you grow up and decide to be a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you must have built so much confidence in yourself.
Okay, so it's lack of
you
confidence
understand?
that makes it-
Yes,
that
you understand.
makes-
You understand?
okay,
Yeah,
all
you
right,
must
so
have.
that's one.
No. Why are you talking like that?
No, I mean, is it lack of confidence that makes her?
No, don't, I understand English like you do.
No,
you understand?
but
I'm saying that as a woman,
I think this is really
you
an
understand?
important point.
Can
Yes,
I make
ma'am.
my point?
Yes,
please.
You must have built so much confidence in yourself. Do you know what it is for you to win election to get to Senate? You struggle like a man. You were not given the mandate. That girl won election. That girl lost election. That girl went to court and fought and got to Senate. So by the time you get there, you have as much authority as the other men have.
And so that
you don't look at
excludes you
yourself.
from sexual harassment.
For me, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but my personal opinion is that at that stage in the Senate, if you come and say that somebody is sexually harassing you, it's a weakness.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I think
So basically, again, you hear another point the woman is making, that if you are a strong woman, if you are a successful woman, if you are a woman who is rich and you have money and you have influence, that you couldn't possibly be a victim of sexual assault. That's the underlying theme of the argument that the former Senator Itagiwa is making. That because you are a successful woman, you have stood for election and you have won those elections, it means you are not entitled to the right not to be sexually harassed. I mean, this makes me sick as somebody who have women in my life that I actually genuinely do care about. I mean, just imagine, I don't want to be disrespectful, but just imagine how faulty that argument is. That because people touch each other in politics, therefore, a woman should never be able to make a claim of sexual assault because being touchy is a normal thing in politics. I mean, these are the women that are going to raise young boys that will go onto the world. Just think of that for a second. Do you just hear what she said? It is too mundane. That being sexually harassed is mundane, not something to be taken serious. It's something that is trivial. You see what I mean by this older generation of women? They are our biggest problem when it comes to combating sexual assault. This is extremely difficult for me to watch. As somebody who have a lot of women in my life, I have 2 sisters. I have 3 nieces. As a matter of fact, 4 nieces. I have 4 nieces, I think around the age of 19, 20, then maybe between 17 and 18. Then another one somewhere around between 10 and 14. Then the very last one around the age of 6 or 7 or thereabout. And I can't imagine the life of me, one of them calling me one day and saying, I have been sexually assaulted. And I discussed it with the authority, and the authority said, well, you found yourself working in the midst of men. Therefore, you are not entitled to not being sexually harassed. I mean, this is the argument that is being presented here, and is is disappointing, because if the women are not going to stand up for other women in the face of sexual assault, how do they intend to convince men to stand up for women when the men will use those women as what they point out to say, you see, that is your fellow woman saying it is not a sexual assault. Why are you making a big deal out of it? So basically, that is it. The Senate is going to kill the story from their own perspective, because on one hand, like I said initially, she was accused of not officially presenting the allegation to the Senate. She presented the allegation to the Senate, and the Senate said, we don't care. We are not going to address it. And that's it. In other crimes, the Senate president will have been asked to step aside pending the conclusion of the investigation. And here, the Senate is even saying, we are not even interested in investigating the issue. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Please share as well if it's something you would like to do, and see you on the next one.